Once upon a time, in the heart of the beautiful city of Enugu, lived a beautiful family that outwardly appeared perfect. A family that seemed to have it all: the riches, the fame, the luxury. But the truth was far from the picture of perfection. The family consisted of a successful businessman named Uche, his beautiful wife, Ngozi, and their two perfect twin daughters. They were a picture of affluence in their grand home, surrounded by the finest things money could buy. Yet, there was a deep, dark secret hidden within the walls of their mansion. Uche was a powerful man, a towering figure in the business world of Enugu. His businesses flourished under his leadership, and he had everything he could ever want. Yet, there was one thing he didn't have: happiness in his home. Ngozi, his wife, was a woman of unparalleled beauty. Her skin was as radiant as the moon. Her smile was enough to light up any room, and her eyes sparkled with kindness. She was the daughter of Uche's father's old business partner. And when the two families found themselves in a financial bind many years ago, Ngozi was given to Uche as a form of repayment. It was a transaction and nothing more. She was a debt, a settlement to ease the burden of the partnership. Uche never had a choice in the matter. He didn't even want her. But in any way, from the very beginning, Uche resented her. He treated her with disdain, as though she was nothing more than a maid, a burden he had to bear. His family had arranged the marriage for business reasons, and there was no love between them. He rarely acknowledged her existence except to criticize or mock her. He would tell his business partners, "This is just a maid, a woman I accidentally had a night with, and now I have to take care of her because of the twins she bore." He never saw her as his wife, never even thought to take care of her as one would a partner would. But Ngozi, though heartbroken, loved him fiercely. She respected him, adored him, and spent every night and day trying to make their home a place of warmth and comfort. Even though he treated her like a debt, she would have wake up early in the morning to prepare his meals, tend to their children, and manage the household, all the while trying to find a way into his heart. She would spend long nights hoping for his affection, even though it never came. She would ask him for just a smile, a gesture of love, but he would always respond with cruelty. "You are just a debt I'm paying," he would tell her, his voice cold, nothing more. Despite this, Ngodi never gave up. She thought with that time her husband might see her as more than just a transaction, more than just a piece of property. She did everything she could to prove her worth, to show him that she could be a loving and caring wife. The more she gave, the less he seemed to care. The only people in the house who showed her any love were the twin daughters, Ifoma and Chamaka. They were the bright stars of Ngozi's life, the only reason she held on. They were her joy, her reason to keep going. Uche, however, lavished all his attention on them. He brought them expensive gifts, enrolled them in the finest schools, and made sure they never lacked for anything. But his affection for them never extended to their mother. His only concern was always his twin daughters. He never ever for one day showed his wife love, because he thought in his mind that this woman was only for transaction. One fateful morning, as Ngozi was on her way to the market to buy some fresh vegetables for the family, she was nearly hit by a speeding car. She stepped back, but shocked, But just before she could fall, a strong pair of hands caught her. The man who had saved her was a businessman named Chijioke. He had seen her from a distance, admired her beauty, and had noticed the sorrow in her eyes. When their eyes met, something in him stirred. He could feel her pain, and there was something about her grace, her gentleness, that struck him deeply. Chijioke, unlike Uche, was a kind man. He didn't care for wealth or status. He cared about the person. After the exchange pleasantries, and Chijioke apologized for almost running her over, they spoke for a while. Ngozi, for the first time in many years, felt seen. Chijioke was warmed, attentive, and genuinely interested in being helping. He didn't see anything and see her as a burden. She was interested in Chijioke, and so as Chijioke. He saw her as a beautiful, strong woman who deserved respect and love. In the days that followed, their paths crossed again. Chijioke would visit her at the market, and eventually he invited her out for coffee. He asked about her life, her family, and he listened without judgment. With every conversation, Ngozi began to feel something she hadn't felt in years: happiness. Chijioke respected her, made her feel valuable, and listened to her pain. They grew close, and though she was still married to Uche, she began to feel a connection to this man that she had never felt for her husband. Meanwhile, Uche remained as he had always been: detached, cruel, and oblivious to the fact that his wife was withering under his treatment. He continued to shower his daughters with affection, never once considering the woman who had sacrificed so much for him. He took her love for granted, and in so doing, he lost her. One evening, when Uche returned home after a long day of business, he found a house early, quiet, and empty. There was no dinner waiting for him on the table as usual, no sound of the children's laughter. His heart sank as he looked around. It was then that he realized Ngozi had gone. His heart raced, and he ran to the room where she used to sit, waiting for him. There he found a note, and it read, "Uche, I have left. I have gone to a place where I am loved and respected. I will send you the divorce papers. I know my parents arranged for this marriage. I will pay you all the debt, whatever my parents owe your father. You never saw me for who I truly am, and now it is too late. I loved you, but you never loved me. Even though it was an arranged marriage, even though it was a contract marriage, even though I was being paid as a debt, I hope one day you will realize how much you have lost. Please take care of our daughters. They are the best part of us." Uche was struck with a deep, aching pain. He had lost her, the woman who had devoted herself to him, who had loved him unconditionally, had finally walked away. He couldn't believe it. He always had taken her for granted, always dismissed her feelings. Now, he realized too late that she was the treasure, the one person who had given him everything without asking for anything in return. Desperate, Uche set out to find her. He visited friends, colleagues, and business associates, asking for any sign of her. Finally, he learned that she had moved to a small but cozy house in a quiet part of the city, and she was living there with the twins who were now thriving. Chijioke had taken her in. They were thriving. Her presence was intriguing, offering her the best respect and love that Uche never had. When Uche arrived at the doorstep of her new home, he was a changed man. His heart was full of regrets, his mind clouded with guilt. He had come to realize that he had lost everything, and there was no way to get it back. He knocked on the door, and when Ngozi opened it, his eyes filled with tears. I have made a terrible mistake, it says, his voice trembling. Please come back to me. I have never saw you who you are. I've always taken you for granted. You are a treasure and I've lost you. Ngozi looked at him with a mixture of sorrow and strength. It's too late, Uche. I am in a better place now. I am loved and respected. This is my husband now. Please sign the divorce papers. I have found peace, something you could never give me. I hope you realize how much you've lost. But the twins, Uche pleaded. They will always be your daughters, Uche, she said gently, but they are mine too. They deserve a mother who loves herself, not one who lives in constant pain. You should treasure what you have now, for you may never know the value of what you have until you lose it. Uche stood there silent as the realization sank in. He had lost the love of his life, and there was nothing he could do to turn back the time. He turned and walked away, knowing that this was the end of their story. As for Ngozi, she found happiness at least. She built a new home with Chijioke, a man who cherished her for who she was, not for what she could give him. She raised her daughters with love, teaching them the value of kindness, respect, and self-worth. Uche was left to live with the consequences of his actions, forever regretting the love he had lost, forever wondering what could have been. But it was rather too late for Uche. What do you learn from this story? Besties, I hope you drop your comment and enjoy the story as I bring to you another story. Thank you very much.